Well, good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. I am Sean Paff, Chair of the City's Board of Review, and I'd like to call to an order this meeting of the City's Board of Review for Fitchburg, Wisconsin. At this time, I'll turn over to our esteemed City Clerk and Clerk to this committee, Tracy, for the roll.
Thank you, Chair. Chair Sean Paff.
Present.
Richard Bloomquist.
Present.
Elton Krim Jr. is absent. Carol Poole.
Present.
Sharif Atun.
Present.
Dave Carlson.
Present.
Andrew Slager.
Present.
Mark Fairchild.
Present.
You do have a quorum.
Thank you. Again, thank you to the citizens that are up here, and I have to just say a little personal story here. It's the first year of many that our dear friend Mike Couillard is not sitting in this chair, and Mike, wherever if he is watching, we cannot thank him for his years and years of service to this committee. Madam Clerk, this committee meets and it has alternates and things like that. Alternates are allowed to sit during all of our procedures, correct?
That's correct,
And
and they are voting members in the event that you do not have enough regular members present.
Correct. So the alternates are part of the team is what I'm saying, so don't get spooked by that designation. At this time, you have in front of you item 3A. We're going to look at our Board of Review policies and procedures. This is important procedures. This is an important process for the city. Many of you know how this works, but this is really an opportunity to just take some time, ask some questions to Tracy in our city assessing department if you have any questions. I do want to point out one piece on page 5. City Hall was number 5. City Hall filings are timely if received by the close of the business day, which is 4 p.m. Am I correct?
That's correct. That has been recently
Correct.
changed.
So what you have in front of you is a full kind of procedures, how this works. The public, and you, as we will find out, new folks to this committee, this is a very engaged public committee, and the public has every right to come in front of us. So I hope you had a chance to look through all of this. You're all very smart people and bring different geographic areas of the city as well as different expertises in your career and your personal background, so I'm excited to work with you. And with that, I'm going to turn over to my friend Carol Poole to see if she'd like to make a motion.
Carol Poole, I move to approve the adoption of the Board of Review Policies and Procedures Handbook.
Thank you.
And I would like to second that.
By Sharif Atun. Okay, any discussion at all on this? Anybody have any questions for our city staff on this at all? Please keep this in your glove box, or if they still call that, in your car. Keep this close. This is our guidepost, and with that, Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask for a roll call. Is that okay, just to get on the record for that? Or do you not need that?
Nope. Thank you, Chair. We can do that.
Yep, please do. Oh, that's right. Thank
Sean
you.
Paff.
Aye.
Richard Bloomquist.
Aye.
Carol Poole.
Aye.
Sharif Atun.
Aye.
Dave Carlson.
Aye.
Andrew Slager.
Aye.
Mark Fairchild.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay. Item 4, confirmation appropriate Board of Review open meetings notice. Tracy, you mind sharing how we open meeting this? The public doesn't know about this meeting, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. Thank you, Chair. This notice was published in the newspaper on, where's my dates? On May 3rd, and a notice was posted on the front door of City Hall.
Okay. So the public was well aware of this, and obviously it is being broadcast on FACTv as well. Thank you for them for covering this meeting. Item 5. It is part of state statute that one member of this committee has to attend annual mandatory training. And Madam Clerk, I'll defer to you. Did that occur this year?
That is correct. We have one member that did complete training. That's Andrew Slager. He completed the training for an in-person training on, it was signed on May 20th, and the training was on, I believe it was April 18th.
Okay. Andrew, thank you for doing that. Very much appreciative. Andrew is his second year on this committee, right? Am I correct? Third year or second? Wow, you're a veteran. Oh, good. Good. So you're the old salt in the room here. So you're the guy we're going to point to. All right. And then now we're going to move to our agenda items. We're going to get an update from our assessing team. City Assessor Chris Leitz, correct? Am I pronouncing that correct?
That's correct.
Chris,
yeah.
you can introduce your colleague and we'll turn it over to you and look forward to working with you.
Yeah, so this is City Assessor Chris Leitz. This is Craig Olson. He's our Deputy City Assessor. So we sent out our initial assessment notices on May 17th and have been in open book since May 22nd. So today is the last official day of open book. Our intent is to send out revised assessment notices or determination letters later this week.
And Chris, I am correct. The public would have received a letter like this, correct?
Yeah.
That's what I received in the mail. My wife and I did.
Yep. Sent out approximately, I can double check. I think it was 9,162 notices.
That includes commercial as well.
Includes commercial, yeah. It's just about all the residential property changed. Most commercial property changed. The ones that didn't would be some kind of vacant land.
And that is now all of the stuff we've inherited from the town of Madison, correct?
Yeah. So now this is the city of Fitchburg. First time we've done a revaluation of
Got it. Thank you.
township and now city as well. So in any event, state law requires that we notice, we send out assessment notices in a revaluation year, a minimum of 30 days prior to Board of Review. So since we are not completed with our assessment role yet, that's why we're not prepared to start the Board of Review kind of in full force today. So.
Okay. Craig, anything you'd like to add at all? No, sir. Okay. Any questions for the city assessor as we get started at all? Here, we're just formalizing this committee. Richard.
So you sent out 9,000 letters, you said approximately?
We did, yeah.
What was the response?
I'm not sure of the statistics at this point. It has been quite a bit. We've had a number of phone calls and in-person meetings and so on over the past, two and a half weeks.
So how did open book go? How is it going?
Not bad, I would say. We've had a number of visits, but it's been, generally not too terribly bad, I would say.
So what was the overall increase in the assessed valuation of the city, approximately, if it stands what it is from the letters you sent out?
21%. And now that's since the last revaluation, or that was, I guess, over last year. Keep in mind, the last year was a maintenance year, meaning most assessments did not change.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions for Chris? Dave?
Hi, Chris. I'm curious to know what the impact for your office was of the adoption of the town of the incorporation of the former town of Madison. How many more assessments did that pose for you?
I'm not sure the specific number. I think it was a couple hundred parcels, something like that sticks in my head. Do you know off the top of your head? I think it was a few hundred parcels, somewhere in that neighborhood. We met with a lot last year, a lot of commercial property last year during open book, and a couple during board of, or maybe just one during board of review. But yeah, I think at this point they've kind of been fully assimilated is how it seems. And we've heard from some, not all. It's, yeah.
Chris, does the city kind of do a neighborhood approach like every 5 years? Is that a set standard, or I'm just curious?
You mean in terms of inspections?
Yeah, going through assessing certain areas or? Yeah,
so each year we're going to review all sales, all permits, if there's any sort of, like a fire or, damage or something like that, if there's storm damage, whatever it might be. We'll review all those, and we're attempting to institute a kind of practice in place where we review properties once every 5 to 10 years is kind of the plan. So we've got a system in place that we've started implementing this last year to catch up with some of those, because there's a lot. I mean, generally, if you live in a house for a long time, you might not take out a permit, and so we may not go through.
Correct.
Now, that's not to say that nothing changes, but again, I think it's important that we try to maintain consistent and accurate data, and inspections are the best way to do that.
Just to get this all out in the record on front, Chris, how many folks are in your shop at City Hall?
We've got 5 full-time staff in our department, including myself.
And they're all segregated out, different sections, commercial, this and that, or out?
Yeah, so Craig handles most of our commercial stuff. We've got 3 staff who generally work on residential property. So 10,000 roughly parcels in the city, and divided up amongst. 5 staff.
And
It's
Chris,
quite a
just
bit.
for the public, you've been here 3 years in your professional background. You were in Janesville before?
So I've been here now for just about a year and a half.
Okay.
And then prior to coming on board here, I worked for the city of Janesville in a few different roles. I worked on residential for a few years, commercial for a few years, and here we are. So I started I've started in the field exactly 8 years ago or 9 years ago, I guess it would be today, or tomorrow. So
Congratulations.
fun little anniversary, yeah.
Well, thank you for your service to the city of Fitchburg.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yes, Carol, please.
Could you please tell us how the loss of the personal property tax for commercial properties impacts the city valuation, if at all?
Yeah, so as far as the tax perspective, I'm not explicitly sure how that all funnels through. Misty Dodge, our finance director, would be to answer that question a little bit better. But from a valuation perspective, a lot of that personal property, reviewed personal property that had the question of should it be imported onto the real estate value. And thankfully enough, most of the stuff that was valued as personal property went exempt. There was a few call them buildings on leased land that ended up having to get transferred over to the real estate side, but that number was fairly minimal. So the way that I believe it works is that value, personal property value, I think freezes at 2023, the last time it was on the rolls, and then how that plays out on a, I think the state puts money back in or makes the cities whole, I think is how it works. So from our end, it was nice to not have to worry about that as much this year. We reviewed all the stuff, like I said, that had a question of should it be converted to real estate or not. And so most parcels did not see any sort of tremendous impact from that.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Chris, anything else from your end?
No, like I said, today's our last day of open book. So our intent is to send out revised assessment notice determinations here within the next couple days, and we'll be ready to go for board on July 17th.
Okay, and that, Chris, leads, great segue. Item 6B, discussion to adjourn the Board of Review to date certain, July 17th, 2024, at 8:30 a.m. The clerk had sent out an Outlook scheduling request for us, and again, that's the importance of having alternates be equals, because if some of us can't make it, as Tracy said, our friend Mr. Krim isn't here today, but he's certainly part of the committee and will be part of this as well. So we all want to do our best to get these on our schedule. Tracy, could you just maybe, I know it's hard to predict, but what kind of time commitment you think folks will be looking at this summer at all? Just as Richard maybe wants to go to the Summer Olympics or something in Paris, and we may have to pull him away from that. Or
Certainly, based on past meetings, we've usually met at least 4 to 5 times.
Okay.
So I would envision it would be similar this year. Plan on, when we schedule these for a day, to be here all day.
Correct.
We usually try to get started early in the morning, 8:30, and hope to be done for that day by 3, just to give people time to get home by dinner time. So.
Right. Yep. That is a good point. So just kind of, obviously people have travel, and that's again why we have alternates. But we are looking in this July 17th to mid to late September timeframe. So is that fair, Chris?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that seems right. Hopefully.
Madam Clerk, anything else you want to share procedurally before we adjourn?
Nope, nothing on my end.
All right. With that, Mark, go ahead, Richard, real quick.
Chris, I don't know if this is the right question to ask you, but is it possible to list the parcels in this city that are tax exempt? Do you have that list?
Yeah, we could certainly generate that list. And so on I believe they still show up on the assessment roll that we'll have but I can certainly make a list of exempt properties if that would be helpful.
And then will that list also show people that aren't paying the tax but pay payments in lieu of tax? Are there any of those properties?
That I'm not sure of. If we just exempt the properties, and when it comes to taxes or whatever, that's out of my.
Remember, we have a strict kind of germaneness that we have to stick to in this committee. So
Yeah.
I get your questions, sir, or Richard, I totally get that, but we got to stick to what we do in this committee. One of the things you will see, folks that are on this committee, is Chris and Craig will bring an actual open book, and they'll have all the tax rolls in front of us, right? The actual physical copy of that book.
Yep.
So you can certainly finger through those and look through all those things and flip through all those books. Okay, with that, Mark, why don't you give us a motion to adjourn?
Mark Fairchild, motion to adjourn.
Andrew Slager, second.
Second by Andrew. All those in favor signify by saying aye. We will meet again on July 17th, 2024. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We are adjourned.